would tell you, and you've got his biography, so we won't go through a lot of that, other than to remind you that we say often, that the Army is a family business. And I would tell you that there's probably no more family for whom the Army has been a business and a tradition than the Abrams family. Our Speaker's father was the 26th Chief of Staff of the Army, remembered for many things, but one of his quotes that has endured over many, many years: people are not in the Army, people are the Army. And that is exemplified by his son, who now commands in Korea. An extraordinary career, graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point. He, however, did not do particularly well academically at West Point, and he didn't rank sufficiently high to choose infantry as his branch of choice. So he got ranked into the armored cavalry, where he is. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome General Robert A. Abrams.
Hey, thanks, sir. You know, that's the thing about West Point. Your school record is actually public knowledge. But it's all true. Aloha. Okay, that was good. Let's try this one. Jonajinimnida Anyashamika. Got to be able to do it in multiple languages. Well, good morning. I want to thank General Ham and AUSA for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts with you on our alliance and activities in the Republic of Korea. And I also want to thank AUSA for hosting this forum. And I want to thank Bob Brown and the USARPAC team for co-hosting and all the great support. The conference staff and organizers, General Swan was telling me beforehand, this is our 7th year here, but this is my first opportunity to attend LANPAC, and I know that it is a first-rate event each year. And how do I know that? Because at least for the last few years, right about this time, every single year without fail, my Twitter feed is bombarded with pictures of all the new technology, the cool swag, and of course, the executive time down by the beach. So this year, it is my turn to be in Hawaii. And as a matter of fact, for those of you who've got meetings scheduled with me this afternoon, I'll be doing them down by the pool. Now, I'm particularly interested in attending this year because many of the panels and forums are directly related to our forward-postured combat-credible force in Northeast Asia. And this morning, I'm going to touch on a number of those topics as they relate to Korea. And I'll focus my remarks on our unique and enduring alliance with the Republic of Korea. Now, I'm the 4th Abrams boy to serve in Korea. My family's history with Northeast Asia dates back to my father's service in the waning days of the Korean War, 1953 to 1954. Stretches through my oldest brother, who served as a lieutenant on the DMZ, 62 to 63. My brother John, who served as the 2ID commander from 93 to 95. And it is, in fact, the greatest honor of my life to be the commander of United Nations Command, Combined Forces Command, and United States Forces Korea. And this is all to say that I have a deep and abiding personal investment in the stability and security of the Korean Peninsula, and a strong connection to the people of Korea, our longstanding ally. Now, LANPAC's theme today is strengthening and building alliances and partnerships, and later today, the Indo-PACOM Commander, Admiral Phil Davidson, is going to provide the Indo-PACOM perspective on growing our relationships across the Indo-Pacific. This morning, however, I'm going to drill down on one particular relationship, an alliance which is over 65 years old, but continues to serve as a bulwark against tyranny, even as it evolves and transforms to meet emergent threats in the region. And I'm speaking, of course, about the alliance between the Republic of Korea and the United States. And I'll give you my thoughts on the current state of our alliance and how it contributes to the free and open Pacific that we are all deeply invested in maintaining. So let me begin with the bottom line up front. The ROK-U.S. alliance is strong. We refer to it as ironclad. In fact, I can confidently stand before you this morning and state that the alliance remains not just ironclad, but stronger and more ready than ever. In my role as commander of Combined Forces Command, I get the opportunity to work with and alongside phenomenal senior leaders and dedicated professionals of the Republic of Korea Armed Forces. Leaders like General Suh, down here, the new in-position Chief of Staff of the ROK Army, and many, many others. Together, we work each day to deter aggression, to maintain the readiness and combined defense posture necessary to defend the United States and the Republic of Korea. And if necessary, defeat any adversary who threatens our national interests of sovereignty, stability, and security. We use this term ironclad to describe the unbreakable and enduring nature of our alliance across the decades. The roots of our union, they run deep, and they anchor us in common purpose. Forged in the crucible of ground combat, our strength is made up of three long-standing and abiding elements: shared sacrifice, core values, and demonstrated commitment. First and foremost, the alliance is founded on shared sacrifice. The Republic of Korea and the United States, along with 15 other United Nations sending states, sacrificed its sons and daughters for the cause of freedom. The Korean Peninsula, as many of you know, is an inhospitable environment for war. Sheer mountains, narrow valleys, numerous rivers divide the landmass and challenge the flow of men and material. The summers are oppressively hot, and the winters are bitterly cold. Over the course of 3 long years, United Nations forces traded body blows with the North Koreans and the Chinese People's Volunteer Army. In July of 1953, the armistice agreement was signed, but not before 36,000 American and 137,000 South Korean soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines had laid down their lives. Additionally, oftentimes this is a footnote, the nation of South Korea was decimated in that conflict. Nearly 400,000 Korean civilians were lost to the war's violence, and Seoul, an ancient hub of culture and commerce, was reduced to rubble and populated with over 1 million refugees, displaced persons seeking shelter, security, and looking to rebuild their shattered lives in this war-torn nation. The security and freedom of the Republic of Korea, in place since the signing of the armistice agreement, has also come at great cost. It's been hard-won through generations of continued sacrifice, selfless patriotism by those who have committed themselves to a greater cause and at times have paid the ultimate price. Since 27 July 1953, 62 Americans and over 300 South Koreans have lost their lives to the ongoing mission of deterrence and defense. Secondly, our alliance is about core values. Values that endure beyond generational and political change. They are foundational to human enterprise and social resilience. And they are the core of the post-World War international system upon which the great global economic expansion of the 20th century was built. Our values are founded on self-determination, respect for sovereignty, the rule of law, and rooted in the freedoms that we all hold dear: freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom from persecution or coercion. Empowering individuals to achieve their potential, along with the catalyst of free enterprise. It fueled one of the most remarkable stories of national economic rise in the post-war era. Now think about this. In 1960, that same war-torn South Korea's GDP per capita was less than $200. The nation was reliant on foreign aid. In fact, in 1960, South Korea was economically among the worst performing nations in the world. The miracle on the Han, as we refer to it, that which is the modern, vibrant city of Seoul, that I know and have grown to love, an extension of the Republic of Korea as a whole. That miracle came about as the result of hard work, determination, and the same indomitable spirit I see reflected in our Korean military teammates. Building slowly at first and then riding the wave of global investment, innovation, and market expansion, South Korea has now raced past its regional peers to become the 4th largest economy in Asia and the 11th largest in the world. At the beginning of this decade, think about this now, the Republic of Korea became the 7th nation, only the 7th nation in the world to achieve a GDP per capita income of over $30,000. These facts are reflected in the Seoul skyline, which boasts the names of global companies responsible for many of the world's most innovative and most popular products. The freedoms that comprise our core values have also flourished in Korea. Freedom of expression. Ask anyone who's ever been to a Korean baseball game about freedom of expression, and they'll give their testimony. It's truly a memorable experience. But it goes far beyond sport. South Koreans are famous for their political and social expression. There is not a weekend in Seoul without people coming together in the spirit of community and common cause. The result is a vibrant civil society in which the right to worship, the right to socialize, organize, and debate political ideas is not only protected, but it's promoted. Protected by the rule of law, promoted by a society which, like their American allies, understands that we all benefit from these rights every single day. This is evident in the growth and prosperity of both of our nations, and over time, contrast that prosperity with the stagnation and deprivation resident within those nations where totalitarianism tramples freedoms and strangles protections, all in the self-interest of either a single party or single family rule. This brings me to the third and final element essential to the strength of the alliance, and that is demonstrated commitment. The United States is a Pacific nation, and we are committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific, a safe and secure region with unfettered access to the global commons, in which sovereign nations pursue prosperity while respecting and adhering to international rules and norms. 5 of the 7 collective defense treaties the United States is a signatory to are with Indo-Pacific nations. We conduct trillions of dollars in trade with Indo-Pacific nations. We are committed to regional security guarantees. As you heard yesterday, the preponderance of U.S. forces stationed outside our homeland are here in the Indo-Pacific. All of that to say we have a strong commitment and enduring relationships with a number of regional allies and partners. Many of you are here today, but our relationship with Korea is unique. The Republic of Korea is the United States' 6th largest trading partner, accounting for almost $170 billion in two-way trade in 2018 alone. But more importantly, there are nearly 2 million Americans of Korean descent. These Korean Americans are among our members of Congress. They are senior leaders in our military. They are diplomats, career bureaucrats, and leaders within our business communities. And likewise, over 200,000 Americans are visiting or living and working in Korea today. Americans separate and distinct from the 28,500 members of United States Forces Korea. These deep socioeconomic and sociocultural ties make our bilateral relationship special and assure the United States' enduring commitment to the Republic of Korea. This is evident in our continued strong forward posture, our deployment of key defense technology and resources, and our rotation of personnel and equipment which ensure our service members become acquainted with the unique requirements of warfighting on the Korean Peninsula. And the Republic of Korea consistently demonstrates its commitment as well. As its economy has grown and evolved, so too has the South Korean military capability. Once it was a force based on the strength of manpower alone. But today, the Republic of Korea Armed Forces has come of age. The same spirit of self-determination and innovation that fueled their meteoric economic rise is evident in the maturing and professionalization of their force. When it comes to fielding and resourcing a highly capable, disciplined, ready force postured for self-defense and to contribute to regional security and stability, we describe the Republic of Korea as an exemplary ally. The Republic of Korea government, they're committed to growing the annual defense budget to historic levels, up to 8.2% by 2020, bringing total resourcing to 3.7% of GDP. Further, they have committed to year-over-year increases that ensure the ROK Armed Forces is sufficiently funded to maintain the baseline capability and readiness necessary to continue the alliance mission of deterrence and defense, while simultaneously enacting reforms and modernization to align their forces with changing demographics and the evolving security environment. Sacrifice, values, and commitment. To me, these are the fundamentals of our alliance. Over 65 years, we have grown together such that we are now inseparable, unbreakable. We are ironclad. In the 6 months since taking command, the team and I have prioritized visiting our combined units to speak to our operational commanders and to inspect the troops firsthand. It is my professional opinion that our combined defense posture and readiness is as good as it's ever been, if not better. These are the facts. Our combined response to the elevated military tensions of 2017 has served to strengthen our alliance. Our evolution in exercises has energized our senior leaders and staff to think in new and dynamic ways about regional threats. And our combined work on critical military capabilities is creating a stronger, more capable Korean Armed Forces, which contributes to a more capable military alliance. In response to the multiple and escalatory provocations of 2016 and 17, we presented a combined discipline stance which has served as a model for the world. We stood strong, but we also examined our posture to seek areas for continued improvement. For the United States, we were guided by our 2018 National Defense Strategy to pursue increased preparedness of U.S. Forces Korea and our extended regional support network. Through initiatives such as All Things Pacific and the Korean Readiness Review, we have systematically improved our forward posture for increased lethality, agility, and resilience. Our Republic of Korea partners are assisting us with our improved posture while simultaneously working to reform and modernize their own forces. Acquisition of new capabilities, alongside improvements and upgrades to existing systems, is leading the Republic of Korea Armed Forces to significantly buy down risk to mission and risk to force while evolving to meet future requirements. As you know, we suspended a couple of large-scale exercises coincident with senior leader engagements in 2018. This was a prudent action in support of diplomacy. Following those suspensions, we have worked to evolve our exercise design and execution by tuning 4 dials: size, scope, volume, and timing, bringing us into harmony with ongoing diplomatic efforts. The result is the alliance decision to conclude our series of legacy exercises and the alliance decision to develop new activities that are better suited to our current operational environment. Now, let me be very clear about the following. We continue to conduct combined training and exercises at echelon, from Combined Forces Command to our combined components, all the way down to unit level. We do so with the rigor and tempo necessary to maintain core competencies and interoperability. And we continue to validate our combined defense posture and do so under the simulated stress of crisis and contingency. Any suggestions to the contrary, and I've heard them all, are simply not true. This is a meme most often repeated by theorists and pundits who simply do not know the ground truth. The thing you need to understand is that we used to conduct large-scale exercises for two reasons. One, as part of a high-profile deterrence campaign, and two, to maintain proficiency in core wartime competencies. And under our revised training and exercise program, we continue to train each and every mission essential task for U.S. Forces Korea and Combined Forces Command, but with a lower profile in the information space or reduced volume, all in support of our diplomats and their efforts. In the aggregate, the sustained improvements to our posture and readiness during both the period of elevated military tensions and the détente which has followed lead me to contend that the Republic of Korea and the United States feel the most capable, the most disciplined and ready combined force anywhere on the planet. We have an ironclad alliance as a result of our shared sacrifices, core values, and demonstrated commitments. We field unquestioned and dominant lethality across all domains. We possess superior interoperability and continue to push the boundaries of innovation and modernization as we grow and evolve to be better postured and prepared for our combined defense and any future threats. We describe this on the peninsula as being ready to fight tonight. It is our solemn obligation to the millions of Koreans, Americans, and our regional partners and allies who depend on us for security and stability, and the generations of patriots to whom we owe our freedom and prosperity. My aim this morning has been to assure you, in no uncertain terms, that our alliance with the Republic of Korea remains as strong as ever and serves as a model for others. Now, let me say a few words about the strategic impact of our unique alliance. Combined Forces Command, in concert with U.S. Forces Korea, United Nations Command, and our sending state partners, ensures the security and stability of the Korean Peninsula by maintaining the combat stance and warfighting readiness required to reliably deter aggression. This same force acts to stabilize the region by defending, and if necessary, enforcing international accords that underpin the rules-based system essential to our shared prosperity. U.S. Forces Korea is a capable, ready force, forward deployed on the Asian continent, providing the Indo-PACOM commander and our national leaders with military options in support and defense of our national interests in a free and open Pacific that benefits all nations. Our continued partnership with the Republic of Korea is essential to that dynamic. Today, as it's been for 65 years, that relationship is ironclad, postured and ready for any contingency. Now, before I end, I need to say a few words about service in Korea. As I mentioned at the outset, my family has a long history of service on the Korean Peninsula. That history gives me a unique perspective in thinking about what it means to serve in Korea, in terms of both making a meaningful and lasting contribution to national defense and in the personal benefits of an overseas tour. Service in Korea has always been of utmost importance to our national defense and remains so today. In Korea, my father's generation held back the advance of communism while securing liberty for a people determined to pursue democratic principles and mutual prosperity. The Americans and multinational partners serving there today, they continue this legacy. Their work remains vital to maintaining the frontier freedom while ensuring regional security and stability. The divergent nature of North and South Korea following the armistice agreement has demonstrated the dramatic difference in the quality of life made by choosing one path over the other. Past generations of Americans who have contributed to the unbridled success of South Korea would be hard-pressed to recognize it today. Gone are the ills of the post-war period, and in their place is world-class infrastructure, thriving markets, cafes, restaurants, 4D movies. Don't ask me what a 4D movie is. I only know that people there love them. My point is that the era of the remote American camps surrounded by underdeveloped communities is over. And in its place, an assignment to Korea means enjoying all the benefits of one of the world's most modern, prosperous nations while being geographically primed to visit the rest that Asia has to offer. Today, Korea is an assignment of choice. one in which service members can tackle a difficult mission, one with historic importance, in which history is currently being written, and one which simultaneously places our service members and their families in an ideal position to make the most of their time in Northeast Asia. As I stated at the outset, it's been my intention this morning to give you my thoughts on the state of our alliance in Korea and its contributions to maintaining a free and open Pacific. Let me conclude by simply summarizing. The ROK-U.S. alliance is ironclad and is getting stronger every day. Together, our combined force assures the freedom and sovereignty of the Republic of Korea. It enhances the security of the United States and acts to defend the free and open Pacific in Northeast Asia. We maintain the combined defense posture and readiness necessary to our mission while supporting and preserving space for ongoing diplomacy that promises to chart a brighter future for all involved. We do this as allies and with the support of our two nations, whose abiding connections have only deepened and strengthened over the decades. We have gone together for over 65 years, and we continue to do so today. Kachi kapsida. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions. You want me to read it? All right. Okay, first question. The United States has supported the comprehensive military agreement since its signing in the fall of 2018. Has it made any difference with respect to denuclearization? What have we gained in relation to what we have given up? Great question. The comprehensive military agreement signed in September between the Ministry of National Defense, Republic of Korea, and their counterparts in the DPRK lists a series of confidence-building measures that fundamentally reduce the chances of mistakes, reduces the chances of miscalculation, and has led to a palpable reduction in tensions on the peninsula. Let me give you some examples. So let me first just by doing a show of hands. Who is in favor of permanent peace on the Korean Peninsula? Okay, good. Me too. I've been in 3 wars. I don't want to be in another war. I have no burning desire to be in another war. Now, having said that, as I just described in my remarks, we have kept that force postured. We're the insurance policy should the unthinkable happen. And we are ready. But the facts are, if you look through the history of the peninsula, where we have had incidents, where we have had conflict, where we have had provocations, it has largely been attributed to mistakes, misunderstanding, and miscalculation. So anything that removes or lessens the chances for mistakes, misunderstandings, miscalculations, all support the armistice agreement of keeping the two sides separated until such time that we have a peace treaty. And the reduction in tensions on the peninsula is palpable. So 10 guard posts on each side have been destroyed. And you're saying, well, I've been to Korea. You know, there's 250 or so on their side. There's 150 or so on the south side. So what? The so what is, not only were they destroyed, but as part of the verification process, both sides got to verify, personally verify with their own eyes, that the other side had complied. So on that morning in early December, 10 teams from the Republic of Korea Army, 5-man teams, stood on the MDL. They linked up with their KPA counterpart, who escorted them 500, 800 meters, 1,400 meters through the minefields to that destroyed guard post, personally inspected, and then were escorted back. And that afternoon, it was reciprocated by the Republic of Korea Army who escorted those 5-man KPA teams. This is about building confidence. It's about building trust. It was conducted in a professional manner. No animus. They dealt with each other like professionals. It's a small ink blot of confidence building and trust building. Okay? We've separated, increased the size of the no-fly zone for unmanned aerial vehicles, rotary wing, and fixed wing along the eastern half of the demilitarized zone. And again, this is about reducing the chances for misunderstanding and miscalculation. We've clearly delineated what is okay along the northern limit line on both coasts. And having recently visited out to one of the Northwest Islands, that is one of the most complicated, you talk about complex, ambiguous, potentially volatile areas where there could be a mistake or miscalculation. You have to look no further than the Northwest Islands of the Republic of Korea along the northern limit line to see it in action, where you have the convergence of maritime forces from North Korea, South Korea, and occasionally others, as well as commercial fishing from multiple countries, all converged into a little tiny area where it requires extraordinary discipline and patience by all parties to ensure that commercial fishing can happen without the sparking of a conflict. And every day that goes by, it's building confidence in each other's ability to abide by international law. Inside the Joint Security Area, I was there 5 years ago and visiting with my boss, and it was the DMZ that everyone remembers. It was the Joint Security Area that everyone remembers. UN Command Security Battalion guards on the south side standing in the Taekwondo ready position. Helmets, Ray-Bans, ready to go. And the KPA was on the other side. I visited there the day after I assumed command. None of that. The JSA is completely unarmed today. There's 35 guards on each side. They go about their business every single day in a professional manner, interacting professionally. We've closed down all but 2 guard posts. And we verified each side, UN Command Security Battalion, KPA Security Battalion, came and mutually verified that the guard posts had been demilitarized, and each side put their own lock, seal, and took the key. We now share, there's probably 40 close combat or closed circuit TVs that monitor both sides. We now share each other's feed in both joint duty offices on both sides of the MDL. Unthinkable in the past. It's a small ink blot of what the future can hold in terms of mutual trust and confidence. So these are all nascent confidence building measures that have lowered the temperature significantly on the peninsula. So how can you not be in favor of that? Right? You have to be in favor of that because it's a signal. It's a small picture of what the future can hold. Now, to the question it asked about, so what has this done for denuclearization? Well, what it's done is it's lowered the temperature that's allowed diplomacy to continue to work. And the door is still open. Regardless of your personal feelings about what came out of Hanoi, the facts are the door is still open and the sides are still talking. It's not well publicized, but those are the facts. And our goal remains the same, fully verified denuclearization of North Korea. That's the goal, and the door is still open, and the CMA has lowered that temperature such to a point that's allowed diplomacy to continue to work. General Abrams, cancellation of exercise 2018 has it led to a reduction in readiness? And did we get anything of value for this concession? So look, I'll simply say, like I said in my remarks, first off, it wasn't a concession, in my view. I think it was a prudent action made at the national level to open the door, to put the hand out. If you want peace on the peninsula, something has to change in the calculus. And we've been back and forth now since 1950. And it's going to take some time to build bridges, to build trust, to build confidence after nearly 69 years of mutual distrust and open hostility. So it was a prudent measure. But as I've stated, and I want to be crystal clear about it, combined training and readiness, it hadn't slowed down one bit. And we are continuing to conduct very rigorous combined training at echelon. Over 100 exercises thus far in 2019 alone. Happens at multiple levels. The single biggest difference, we just don't talk about it. We go about the quiet, professional work that our militaries are, continue to keep our readiness at a very high level, all contributing to a very strong combined defense posture. With the South Korean military coming of age, can you briefly describe the current state of OPCON transfer and the U.S. military movement towards supported relationship with our own partners? Great question. So many of you are probably vaguely familiar with this idea of OPCON transition. So first you have to understand the state, the current state, and it's evolved over time. But fundamentally, in armistice, let me be clear about this. In armistice, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff for the Republic of Korea has operational control of all of the Korea Armed Forces. I don't, as the Combined Forces Command Commander. That's General Park Han-gi's job. Unlike our own system, in their system, not only does he have Title 10 oversight of the services, but he is also an operational commander. In U.S. parlance, he's also the NORTHCOM equivalent. That's what he is, defend the homeland in armistice. As we go through any potential crisis or incident, and we start to execute our crisis action standard operating procedures, we'll make alliance decisions about the defensive condition status on the peninsula. And only when we achieve DEFCON 3, as we call it, which again is an alliance decision, then the ROK military, the ROK Armed Forces, are given they are provided operational control to the commander of Combined Forces Command, currently a U.S. 4-star. It's been that way since the end of the war in various forms. We established CFC in 1978, and it's flourished since then, and those are the conditions. So only in DEFCON 3 and beyond does a U.S. 4-star have operational control of the ROK Armed Forces. So as the ROK Armed Forces have matured over time, and the country has gotten stronger and developed as I described in my remarks, there's been this desire, an appropriate desire, at some point for a ROK leader, a ROK 4-star, in potential wartime conditions. If we get to hostilities, that they should be the operational commander for the fight on the pen. It's appropriate. It's their country, for crying out loud. Okay? The alliance is like this, at that point. So we've gone back and forth for the last 15 years. Is it an alliance decision to just move and make that decision for OPCON transition? Do we base it on time or not? We've come really close. But a decision was made in the 2012-13 time frame, instead of making it time-based, to make it based on conditions. So there are 3 agreed conditions that would set, and those conditions have to be met, whereby we would make an alliance decision at the highest level of our government to make that change and make it a ROK-led Combined Forces Command. So that was inked in 2014 and agreed upon by the Minister of National Defense and the Secretary of Defense at the time in 2015. And since 2015, the Republic of Korea and the United States have been working steadily together to get the ROK Armed Forces to meet those three conditions. And that work continues today. So the answer to the question is, we're making progress. We're making huge progress. But it is hard, difficult work. The framers of the COTP plan, they had it right. These are well thought out. It's based on the acquisition, development, fielding, and certification of critical military capabilities. In addition, it includes a new version of what the future CFC headquarters will look like and how it will be led by that ROK 4-star. It involves the evolution of our terms of reference. When we have a ROK-led Combined Forces Command, what then is the role of Commander U.S. Forces Korea? What then is the role of the Commander of United Nations Command, who's that same guy? And what is the role of the fourth hat that I wear now as the Senior U.S. Military Officer of Korea, the SUS-MOAC? Most people don't even realize that exists. But I am the day-to-day military representative of General Dunford as the direct counterpart to the ROK chairman as we work through alliance issues as the SUS-MOAC. So we're working through all that, and we're making a lot of great progress, and the ROK Armed Forces are 100% all in their Ministry of National Defense. In fact, the ROK government is all in to make the appropriate investments and commitment to meeting those conditions. This August will be, we believe we'll conduct an exercise this August that will serve as the first external assessment of initial operations capability of what the future CFC command is going to look like and how it will operate under the stress of simulated crisis and contingency. So for the exercise, we'll have a ROK 4-star who will serve as the acting CFC commander. I will assume duties as the deputy commander of Combined Forces Command, and we'll execute the exercise. It's not just the evaluation of the headquarters, but it's also an evaluation of the integration and interoperability of all of those critical military capabilities as part of contingency operations. So, and that's not well covered in the media. It's not just the headquarters, it's all of those critical military capabilities. If they've reached the appropriate level of maturity, they've got to get evaluated as well. Because in the end, as we all know as professional military officers, in the end, those critical military capabilities, they actually have to work in crisis and contingency. And so we've got an external assessment team to provide that. So the future is bright, and we're headed in the right direction. But to be clear, it's conditions-based, not based on time. People want to say, well, when do you think it'll happen? That's the next logical follow-on question. We're making progress. And the chairman and I, General Parkan-Gee and I, will render a report at the military committee meeting, at the security consultative meeting. Those are annual meetings of our alliance decision-making structure. We'll do that when that's scheduled in October, November timeframe. We'll provide an update to the Secretary of Defense and the Minister of National Defense, and we'll be able to chart the way forward, and I'm sure there'll be an announcement at the conclusion of that. I got all the time in the world, General Ham. I have no more time, but I'm happy to take any questions from anybody that's not on a card. Be brave.
Anybody care to speak up?
Colin Clark, Breaking Defense. I'm curious, you haven't mentioned the recent missile launches from North Korea. Are they fielding any new capabilities? What's your strategic assessment of the significance of these?
Tell me again how you characterize recent activities.
I use the term missile launch, which I know may not be entirely accurate. That's one of the reasons I asked.
Okay. Here's what I'll tell you. And I've said this multiple times on the record in front of the Congress of the United States, my confirmation hearing, and many other places. Training are routine activities of militaries all over the world in accordance with their national defense strategy, and these are routine activities. So, characterizing recent events, it all depends on where you sit, okay? My own perspective is that militaries around the world conduct routine military activities that include training of their specific capabilities. And we ought to just leave it at that. I can tell you this, recent activities on the peninsula by the DPRK has not changed the palpable reduction in tension on the peninsula. And the door for diplomacy remains open. Of course, we pay attention to what's going on up north, and we have our own assessment, and I'm sure you can appreciate that we choose not to characterize capabilities because that would compromise our sources and methods for gathering intelligence. But understand this, we have a world-class intelligence community, and it's a combined intelligence community. It's not U.S. unilateral. And with our intelligence sharing agreements with the Republic of Korea, we have a very good sight picture on what is and what is not going on in North Korea. But more importantly, since you asked, here's what is largely lost in the media space. Okay? When activities occur on the peninsula, and the recent activities are as good as evaluation of the strength of our alliance, we work hand in hand. We don't operate unilaterally. We're completely transparent. We have incredible trust and confidence between me and the ROC chairman. I'll bet we talk 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day during those activities to ensure that the alliance remains completely shoulder to shoulder, linked at the hip, complete transparency, so that we can make alliance decisions about what happened, why did it happen, what do we need to do about it, if anything, and most importantly, how are we going to talk about it in the information space? And there is no daylight between me and the ROC chairman. Zero. We have an excellent relationship. I've been doing this a long time, and I've trained with militaries all over the world, and I'll tell you that the relationship, the mill-to-mill relationship at Echelon is it's incredible. We are truly partners of one mind. I'm not going to put him on the spot. The ROC Army Chief here, General Suh, again, recently in position. He's been in position, I think, 40 days. But he was previously the ROC JCS J3. He did that job for 2 years. And I can tell you that at his level, ROC JCS J3 to the U.S. Forces Korea J3, who is also the C3, the same level of partnership. Constant dialogue, constant communication, like one mind. So we continue to keep an eye on it. Our posture is strong. Everyone needs to remain steady in the saddle and allow diplomacy to work. General Ham, thank you. Thanks to you and AUSA for giving me a platform, giving me an opportunity to talk about Korea today. I am a lifetime member of AUSA, so Pat doesn't need to hunt me down outside. I'm in good standing. But thanks to all of you for attending, and I look forward to talking to you afterwards. Thank you very much.